Hey everybody, it's Alex from Heavy New York. We are back at the PlayStation Theater. It's been a minute since we've been here, but today we are here with At the Gates. Thank you so
Right.
much for your time.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah, it's so great to have you here to drink from the night itself, your latest record, the first At the Gates record in 8 years, right?
4 years.
4 years?
We did one in 14.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, my mistake.
No, it's all right.
Yeah.
But before that, it was a huge hiatus for 19 years, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. So, being that it was 4 years since the release of your last record, was this more of like a fresh start for At the Gates, or do you think that this record is kind of just picking up where you left
Well,
off?
I think it was a fresh start in two major ways. Firstly, because we lost one of our main songwriters, the lead player, the brother of the bass player. He quit after, between the last one and this one, and so it was a change in writing dynamics for the group. What basically happened was the other main songwriter, the brother, took all the. I think he saw it as a challenge, really, to prove it to himself that he could do it on his own.
But like, being that you brought in a new member for this record, was he like looking at your previous music and kind of adjusting his playing style to that, or did you guys kind of want him to bring his own mix to At the Gates?
I think we'll see that on the next album more when he's because he joined the band a long way into the songwriting process, so he didn't have time to have a lot of input, playing wise or anything. But I can say that he had to change his rhythm playing a bit. He's not really used to the thrashy thing that we, it's like half thrash, half death metal.
Yeah.
What we do. But he put a lot of effort in it, and he really, really succeeded in a great way.
Definitely, it sounds like that. Now, At the Gates, I've always thought has a sound that many fans love, and it's been that way since the first record. Does At the Gates have a formula that they always stick with in making new music, or is there room for experimentation as well?
There probably is a formula, but not consciously. I think everyone has a formula, just like the sum of who you are and your influences and all that. But there's definitely a huge space for experimentation. And what we did on the last record, which was the first one since the 90s, we tried to explore some new ways that we didn't try before, more like a little bit darker stuff, more ominous feelings. And I think we went a little bit further on the new one in that direction also. So, I think like variation within certain bounds is, you try to incorporate new things in the music, but still keeping it the same band, right?
Yeah, of course, of course. Now, as you mentioned, when you took a hiatus and stuff, and then you finally came back, did maybe taking time off from the band influence the music that you would later make?
Yes, of course, it did. There's like 19 years of other influences, and we always, we're metalheads. We grew up metalheads, and we'll always be metalheads. But for metalheads, I'd say we're pretty broad and diverse in our musical tastes, and hopefully that shows in the music as well.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I've noticed because, you're playing right now with Behemoth, which is a
Mhm.
black metal audience, but
Yeah.
you've played with, death metal bands, you've played with, metal core bands.
Right.
And so I almost feel like your music is experimental that could appeal to multiple audiences, but also really stay true to your fans at the same time.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that we're aiming for.
Yeah. Do you notice a different type of audience or reaction depending on who you play with?
A little bit, yeah. This is the first non-headline tour we've done since '96.
Wow.
So and that's also by design. It's a conscious thing because we want to try and because what is it maybe the fourth or something U.S. tour since we started playing it again. And we feel it's time to try and reach, and because after 3 or 4 times you start playing to the same people, which is good, reaching loyal fans. But it's always you know, it's a challenge to try to get newer people that haven't heard us. You know, try to win them over.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people have referred to you guys in like the melodic death metal category. Your music is very melodic, but it's very heavy. Is there something that comes first? Do you guys try to think of a melody and then figure out a way to bring heaviness into that, or do you just like thrash like crazy and then see, okay, let's make this part more melodic?
It's probably not, you know, something we think about, but the way we grew up with all the old heavy metal music, which was, you know, it was dangerous back then, early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
That was extreme back then. And then we grew up within the scene when it gradually became more extreme. So we brought all that along, you know, with us when our own music became more and more extreme. So it's just a natural progression of what we do.
Oh.
Just, you know, the combination of classic heavy metal melodicism and death metal,
Which is awesome. And another question I wanted to talk about, I kind of wanted to make this like the main topic of the interview, but a lot of people credit you as like they call you the godfathers of Gothenburg death metal. Like they say you're the reason bands such as The Haunted or In Flames, Dark Tranquillity, or Soilwork came about. Were you aware that there was such a scene in Gothenburg that you kind of inspired?
Well, back then everyone knew each other, but you don't really think about these things. I don't think it's healthy to, you know, we just play. To us, it's not melodic death metal. It's just metal, you know, and whatever form it takes, it's just metal to us. And then it's up to everyone else to categorize and whatever with it. So.
Yeah, but was it kind of easier to start a band at that time because of all the metal bands that were in that vicinity?
Well, honestly, there weren't a lot of metal bands in Gothenburg back then, so it's the scene now and then is I mean, what we do now, making a decent living out of playing metal, it wasn't even, you know, imaginable in the 90s. It was just like a weird concept. So, what really helped back then was like the municipal help with rehearsal rooms and music lessons and whatever. So I think that's often forgotten when you talk about the Swedish music wonder or whatever you call it. We had a lot of help from like the state and yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed here in America that European bands, regardless if you sound like Meshuggah or you sound like Rammstein or At the Gates, people are immediately interested in America when they hear that your band is from Europe. I was just wondering, maybe you would know like why that would be. I heard in Europe it's like the opposite, like everybody's obsessed with American bands there.
Well, we definitely were back then because 90% of all the extreme bands were from America. There were some from Germany and the UK, but most of the early death metal is American. So that's a huge influence on At the Gates.
Yeah, so you guys were looking at bands like Death and Obituary
yes,
and
definitely,
Cannibal Corpse,
yeah.
And then you figured out how to kind of make it more melodic, right?
You know, as I said, that just happened, you know, because of what we're coming from.
Okay.
Where we're coming from, yeah.
Yeah. And the final question I'd like to ask you, and I want to thank you so much for your time. Is there ever a preconceived idea for At the Gates when going into the studio on how you want to make a record, or do things happen fairly organically?
Well, for the last one, it was really all decided before we went into. There was a lot of pre-production for that one, so most of it was just, you know, demoing stuff at home, and it's so easy now, you know, just sending files across the country, and we're really spread out. Also, one guy is in Belgium and one guy is in the UK, and 3 of us are in Sweden. So it's, you know, it's that needed to happen. Just, you know, because we didn't have a lot of time to rehearse. It had to be very thoroughly prepared before we met and started playing the songs.
Yeah. Did that separation make it extra challenging in terms of like playing the stuff together and like?
Well, not really, because we've been doing this for so long. So doesn't take a lot of time to get into it, and everyone learns their thing and just goes on with it. But that's because of the modern times, just the easiness of recording stuff at home, and just Jonas can record a thing at home, and 5 minutes later I can listen to it in my home, and give input. So.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time again. You're doing this tour with Behemoth and Wolves on the Throne Room. You're taking this lineup to Europe as well.
That's true, yeah.
Yep. Is there just anything else we could be expecting for the record cycle of To Drink from the Night itself?
I'm sorry, I didn't get that. What?
Can we be expecting anything new from At the Gates in terms of tours and anything else?
Oh yeah, of course. We're already booked into next fall. So there's gonna be information as it comes for a long time coming. Yeah.
Please hit the States again.
I hope to, definitely. There's some talk. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Everybody, we are here with At the Gates. Be sure to pick up To Drink from the Night itself if you haven't already, and catch them on their tours with Behemoth and Wolves in the Throne Room. We'll see you next time on Heavy New York, everybody.
Right.